Hey guys, it's Walker Diable, author of Buy Then Build and creator of the Acquisition Lab, and not this Acquisition Lab. That's a different lab, but that I didn't create. But we have this new initiative. I'll spend up to 6 hours a week, just working with buyers on advisory calls in the lab, and so my team now and then wants to pull out little clips and share it with the greater Buy Then Build community. So check out this sick clip, and we will see you on the inside. Thanks so much. So just as a reminder, in the AE matrix, in the AE matrix, okay, you've got four primary ways to add value in a company. All right, the eternally profitable that we talked about. Up here is high growth. Okay, over here is the turnaround opportunity. And then up here is the platform business, okay? I define platform differently than private equity does, okay? Private equity will define a platform as their first move into, or their first acquisition in a new vertical that they plan to grow through acquisition in theory, okay? I use it differently. I use it in identifying what you bring to the table and applying that skill set to the business you're looking at. In other words, with David, he found this GC business and he brings the thing to the table to grow it. Okay. That then is going to be a platform for David. Okay. Get it? Because he's using his skill set to grow it, to capitalize on the growth opportunity at hand. So with my experience, I'm really more of it's really two things. One, I was teaching an MBA class and someone asked me, what's your aptitude? What's your strengths, right? And what I'm good at is selling, okay, business strategy, and a little bit marketing strategy, right? And that's kind of what I'm good at, is sort of like top line growth and being able to, oh, thanks, Chelsea. And being able to look at a business and understand what it needs to do. Okay. With the printing company, the reason I bought the printing company was sort of, there was a couple of big reasons. The first was that it had well, let me skip to the third one. The third one is because the underlying trends, okay, in the printing industry were actually quite interesting to me. And this was like 2006, okay? No one that we knew was going into the printing industry in 2006. It was a very unpopular decision, okay? And what we now know as like, oh, Amazon's moving into that space, like get out of that space or don't go into that space, like they're going to just dominate it, right? Well, book printing was really the first Amazon impact. It was the first Amazon effect, right? We just didn't call it that because we didn't know. So what was going on was newspapers were going out of business, bookstores were going under, but and places like Amazon were having these like headlines like Kindle sells more items than any other SKU on Amazon and blah blah blah. Like the iPad came out, like it was all the noise, right? It was like, oh, print's dead, right? If you really looked at what was going on, there was a couple of really interesting things. One, people were actually buying more books than ever. Okay. Two, the industry dropped from like, I think it was like 100 billion in printing to like 97 billion in printing. Okay. So it was still enormous. Okay. Number three is bookstores were going out of business because people were buying books online. Okay. But they were buying more books than ever before. And the fourth one is that there was a absolute exponential growth in new titles being published. What's going on here? Basically, people were buying online and new authors were creating new books in large masses. Why? Because of digital book printing. Basically, exalted Xerox machines right at that time became good enough in their quality to be able to be, to this book was digitally printed. Okay, you ordered it. Well, Charles ordered it. I hope the rest of you, would man up and do it. Anyway, the point is thank you, Shane. Thank you. But the point is when you order this book, they print it at Amazon and send it to you. Okay, that's how it's one at a time. You can do runs, and I have some from short runs that I do, but even those short runs are digitally printed. If you're under 1,000 copies, it's printed digitally on these Xerox type equipment. And so because of that, the new technology that was emerging was just this. And what it did was, if you went to a publisher and said, listen, how many titles do you have? And they'd say, oh, 200. And we'd say, okay, how many do you have inventory of right now? They'd say, 50. Okay, why don't you carry inventory of the other 150? One, I don't want to tie up cash in inventory. Two, I have to print like really 2,000 copies to get my unit cost down so that I make a gross margin profit on selling that book for 20 bucks. Okay, so I have to print 2,000 copies, which, because these titles are so slow moving, it's going to take me a decade to freaking sell them. Okay, but so I'll get my unit cost down, but it's going to take me like 8 years to sell enough of them that I'm actually making money on the print run, right? What digital printing did was say, look, you can take those 150 titles that you're not printing right now and make them available. Okay, and so what I did was I bought the printing company, and the first thing I did, it's not true, it's not the first thing I did, but pretty quickly, was I went into pre-press. I knocked down a couple of walls. I leased 3 digital presses. I bought a bookbinder for low run stuff. Okay. And then we essentially went out to the 125 publishers that were the existing customers and sold them exactly this. Within 18 months, it was 25% of the business. Okay. A platform example. Okay. The fulfillment business, like I shared, I bought the fulfillment business, and they had this really quirky sort of like legacy system that was like a decade old and really hard to navigate, but their customers were using it. It was so valuable to their customers that like they needed someone trained, and like everyone in the customer facility would go to that one person to have them order the items. And I was like, what? You've got to be kidding me. So I bought the business. I used the cash flow to build a proprietary e-commerce software, okay, which, by the way, was probably 98% WordPress, okay? and then we rolled it out as this custom solution that also had internal data so that companies could look at, okay, I've got whatever, 60 locations. I can actually cut data any which way and see which locations are ordering what items, right? And it'll spit out things like, how come Shane, David, Chris, Yaki, and Jeff are all ordering 2,000 headphones a month, but Charles isn't ordering any? Like, I need to talk to Charles, right? So it would show you trends and all kinds of stuff, and also show like, hey, Shane's buying way too many pens. He cannot be buying this many pens. Let me slap his wrist or whatever, right? So it gave them data. It centralized all ordering and all supply chain for the customers, right? So this is another sort of platform example.